the police have uncovered important clues, revealing the mastermind behind all these mysterious events. After learning the terrifying truth, Trong collapses, completely devastated. But is this just the beginning of a chain of tragedies? Welcome back to the channel, where we always bring you thrilling and intense stories. Today, we continue to follow the surprising and emotional journey of the love story between James and the poor girl Ly Tu Diep. A love that seemed pure and innocent, yet has been caught up in dark conspiracies no one could have anticipated. The story is becoming more complex and unpredictable than ever. Trang, a girl who seemed to be just an ordinary person, unexpectedly becomes an important part of a dangerous game, with tangled relationships and schemes that can't be separated. When the police announced that John was behind everything, everyone was shocked, but no one expected things to be even more complicated than they seemed. Trong, the strong and resilient girl we've always known, has now fallen. She can't believe that the person she once loved and trusted is the one who has caused all this chaos. The feeling of betrayal is an overwhelming shock, and Trang doesn't know what to do next. How will this story end? Will the love between James and Ly Tu Diep be strong enough to overcome all challenges? Will the dark secrets pull them into an endless spiral, or will love be the key to unlocking a brighter future? Stay tuned to find out more unexpected twists, exciting moments, and unpredictable developments. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our thrilling stories. After Trang decided to join James and the authorities in finding the person behind John to bring the truth to light, a shocking revelation suddenly struck. The person behind everything was none other than her own father. This news hit her like a lightning bolt, leaving Trang almost paralyzed. She couldn't believe her ears, and it felt like the whole world was collapsing in front of her. The sky, once bright, suddenly darkened. An ominous, heavy atmosphere surrounded her, making it hard for her to breathe. She couldn't stay still any longer and immediately rushed home, determined to face the man she had once revered. When Trang entered the familiar house, everything seemed strangely alien. The pictures, the old memories, all became lies that she could no longer look at with calm eyes. She walked straight into the living room where her father was sitting reading the newspaper. He looked up and saw the anger and pain in her eyes. Trang couldn't hold back her emotions, her voice trembling with rage. Trang, Dad, why? Why did you do this? Why have you been lying to me all these years? You're the one behind all of this? I've always trusted you, and now I have to face this truth. Her father, though he had prepared himself for this confrontation, could not escape the shock. He took a deep breath, his eyes heavy, as if the world was collapsing before him. After a moment of silence, he spoke. Father, do you understand, Trang? Sometimes the decisions we make in life are not always easy. I did everything for the family to protect you. But sometimes, to protect those we love, we have to do things that our conscience doesn't allow. Trang couldn't believe what she was hearing. She stepped closer, her hands trembling, tears starting to fall. Trang, you protect me? How? By committing crimes? What you did wasn't protecting me. It was destroying everything I believed in. I can't understand this. You were the person I idolized, and now I don't know who I'm supposed to face anymore. Her father stood up, his face full of worry. He reached out as if to hold her hand, but stopped midair. He spoke in a deep, sorrowful tone. "Father, Trang, you don't know how complicated everything is. Sometimes we have to make choices that cannot be undone. I know I've made mistakes, but not everything is as dark as you think. You just need to understand that in this world, not everyone can live the way they want." Trong stared into his eyes, filled with disappointment. She wanted to scream, to rebel, but no words could come out. She could only stand there, her hands clenched tightly, a wave of pain rising like a storm inside her. "Trang, I don't need to know the reasons anymore. I don't need those excuses. If you truly loved me, then why would you do this? I will never forgive you. Never." Both of them fell silent. The space between them felt like 1,000 miles. Trong turned away and walked out, but inside the pain still lingered, never fading. She didn't know if she could continue to live in a world where the father she loved was the very villain in a story from which she couldn't escape. The story of the relentless struggle between James, the police, and John is slowly reaching its climax. When everything seemed hopeless, a final ray of hope emerged. James and Officer Ly had been tracking John's every move for several days without faltering. They silently followed him, documenting each criminal act he committed, despite the dangers lurking around them. Officer Ly, an experienced officer, had infiltrated John's lair without pause. He quietly took pictures and recorded every illegal activity, from illegal logging to the dark operations he was running, where his henchmen were involved in unlawful activities. With undeniable evidence in hand, Ly decided it was time to act. He called James and arranged to meet at a quiet cafe, where there were not too many people around. The atmosphere was calm, but inside James, a storm was brewing. James knew that even the smallest mistake could make everything fall apart, but he trusted Officer Ly and was determined to do whatever it took to bring John to justice. As James and Officer Ly sat across from each other, they exchanged a lot of information. The evidence they had was enough to bring John to justice. But the issue was not just about making an arrest. It was also about ensuring the safety of everyone involved. In the end, they agreed on a plan: to arrest John and bring him to trial to return justice to the victims whose lives he had ruined. Without wasting any time, a phone call was made, and the task force took their positions. They set out, determined that this time they would not let John slip away. Meanwhile, on the other end of the conversation, John had no idea he was being watched. He continued to plan his next move, unaware of the police closing in on him. This time, he was much more cautious. He ordered his men to go to a small house in the outskirts where Ly Tu Diep was hiding. John instructed his men to block all the major roads, making sure no one could approach the area. He wanted to ensure that this time nothing would stop him. Trang, on the other hand, was completely unaware of the danger lurking nearby. James, once again, found himself deeply worried for her. He feared that John wouldn't give up and would harm Diep again, perhaps with a final plan to eliminate her once and for all. With this in mind, James decided to head straight to Diep's small house. On the way, he unexpectedly encountered John's henchmen. Their faces were hard, eyes cold and calculating, each armed with a weapon. They moved towards James, closing in on him. It seemed like everything was coming to an end, and James knew he might not make it out of this. But just then, something unexpected happened. The police, with careful planning, swooped in at the perfect moment and arrested all the henchmen with precision and speed. James let out a relieved sigh, but his worry didn't ease. He quickly continued his journey to Diep's house, and when he arrived, a horrifying sight greeted him. Diep's small house was now in ruins, windows shattered, the signs of chaos everywhere. The tense atmosphere was palpable, and everything seemed blurred, hard to comprehend. James stood there, frozen. His face was a mixture of dread and helplessness. "Where is Diep?" was the only thought that filled his mind. Was she safe? Had John taken her again? Countless worst-case scenarios ran through his head. It felt like everything was on the verge of falling apart. Meanwhile, John, in his own home, sat smugly, believing that this time everything would go according to plan. He was certain that victory was within his grasp. The feeling of triumph made him forget the fact that, lurking in the shadows, the police were getting closer, and justice was about to catch up with him. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, shattering the silence in John's house. He got up, walked to the door, and opened it, unaware of what awaited him. The moment the door swung open, the police stormed in with overwhelming force and precision. John didn't have time to react. He was arrested on the spot. His crimes, from drug trafficking to illegal abductions, were now exposed for all to see. John sank to the ground, unable to believe that he had finally been caught. Everything he had done was coming back to haunt him. Since the beginning, he had thought he would never be caught, but in the end, justice had triumphed. The scene of John's arrest was like the tolling of a bell, signaling the end of a dark chapter. But for James, this was not the end. He knew there was still much to be done, and the story was far from over. Secrets were still waiting to be revealed, and the fight for justice had only just begun. Where has Diep gone? Will James be able to find her before it's too late? These questions are hanging in the air, leaving everyone holding their breath, waiting for the answers. Everything seems to have reached its peak, and just one more step remains before all secrets are revealed. While John is facing the consequences of his actions, Diep's whereabouts remain a mystery, and James, filled with worry and pain, embarks on a challenging journey to find her. Will he be able to save Diep, or will her fate fall into the hands of the villain? All these thrilling and intense developments will be revealed in the next episode. And an equally important question: what will John's sentence be? Will he pay for the crimes he has committed, or will there be an unexpected twist no one saw coming? Don't miss the exciting and surprising details in the upcoming episodes. Stay tuned to find out where this story is headed.
Diệp đã đi đâu? Liệu James có kịp thời tìm thấy cô ấy trước khi quá muộn? Những câu hỏi này đang treo lơ lửng khiến tất cả mọi người đều nín thở, chờ đợi câu trả lời. Mọi thứ dường như đã đến đỉnh điểm và chỉ còn một bước nữa thôi, mọi bí mật sẽ được hé lộ. Trong khi John đang phải đối mặt với tội lỗi hắn đã gây ra, thì Diệp vẫn đang chưa có dấu hiệu nào, và James với tất cả sự lo lắng và đau đớn trong lòng đang dần bước vào một hành trình đầy thử thách để tìm ra cô. Liệu anh có thể cứu Diệp được không, hay số phận của cô sẽ rơi vào tay kẻ ác? Tất cả những diễn biến gay cấn kịch tính này sẽ được giải đáp trong tập tiếp theo, và mọi câu hỏi liên quan trọng không kém bản án dành cho John sẽ thế nào? Liệu hắn có phải trả giá cho những tội ác mà hắn đã gây ra, hay có một bất ngờ nào sẽ ập tới? Đừng bỏ lỡ những tình tiết hấp dẫn và bất ngờ trong các tập tiếp theo.